You are not weak because you lack strength. You are weak because you've abandoned the fortress of your own mind. Every day, you broadcast your level of self-respect through invisible signals that everyone can read but you. These signals determine whether people see you as prey or predator, follower or leader, the man who gets stepped on or the man who stands unmoved. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his private journal, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." But here's what most miss: the hive begins with you. If you don't respect yourself, you become a collapsed colony and everyone can smell the decay. Today, I'm going to expose 5 behaviors that scream to the world, "I have no self-respect." More importantly, I'll show you the Stoic antidote to each one, transforming you from what I call the self-abandoned man into the self-sovereign man. The difference? The self-abandoned man hemorrhages his power through 1,000 tiny surrenders. The self-sovereign man guards his dignity like a wolf guards its territory. If you recognize yourself in even one of these behaviors, you're bleeding respect faster than a severed artery bleeds life. But unlike physical wounds, these cuts are self-inflicted. And unlike physical healing, the cure requires not time, but decision. Behavior 1. The instant yes syndrome. The self-abandoned man says yes before the question is even finished. Watch him closely. Someone asks for his time, his energy, his resources, and his mouth forms the word yes like a programmed response. He's not agreeing, he's apologizing for existing. But the self-sovereign man has mastered what I call strategic silence, the 3-second pause that changes everything. Picture 2 gladiators in the arena. One rushes forward immediately, swinging wildly, desperate to please the crowd. The other stands perfectly still for 3 breaths, reading the battlefield. Who commands more respect? Who would you bet your life on? Seneca taught that every yes is a miniature death when given without consideration. Because when you say yes to everything, you're really saying, my time has no value. My priorities don't exist. I am a resource to be consumed. Here's the psychology. People who instantly agree trigger the predator instinct in others. It's not conscious, it's primal. When you immediately say yes, you activate the same neural pathways in others that a limping gazelle activates in a lion. You become prey. The Stoic practice is simple but profound. When someone makes a request, pause. Count 3 full breaths. In that space, ask yourself Marcus Aurelius's question. Is this necessary? Not, is this nice? Not, will they like me? Is this necessary? The transformation is immediate. That 3-second pause does 3 things. First, it signals that your time has weight. Second, it forces the requester to value their ask. Third, it puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life. A venture capitalist once told me, "The deals I regret most are the ones I said yes to immediately." The best investments came after I said, "Let me think about it," and the entrepreneur fought to convince me. Your yes should be expensive. Make them earn it. Behavior 2. The emotional broadcast system. The self-abandoned man wears his emotions like a neon sign in a dark alley. Someone cuts him off in traffic. His face contorts with rage. Someone disagrees with him. His voice cracks with insecurity. Someone compliments him. He glows like a child who just got a gold star. He doesn't have emotions. Emotions have him. The self-sovereign man practices what I call emotional encryption, the art of feeling deeply while revealing selectively. Imagine 2 poker players. One's face is a movie screen of his hand, smiling at good cards, frowning at bad ones. The other sits like carved marble, processing everything internally while giving away nothing. Who owns the table? Epictetus was a slave who understood this better than emperors. It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about those things. But here's the advanced lesson. It's not just about controlling your judgments. It's about controlling the broadcast of those judgments. When you emotionally vomit on everyone around you, you're essentially saying, I have no internal regulatory system. I am a puppet, and here are my strings. Pull them as you wish. Think about the most respected man you know. Does he explode when frustrated? Does he melt when praised? No, he processes internally, responds strategically. He's not emotionless. He's emotionally sovereign. The practice. When you feel a strong emotion rising, imagine it as water filling a cup inside you. Before that cup overflows and spills onto others, pour it through what the Stoics called the filter of reason. Ask, what response serves my highest good here? A CEO once told me the moment his career changed, I stopped reacting and started responding. Reaction is emotional incontinence. Response is emotional intelligence. Feel everything. Display strategically. This isn't suppression, it's sophistication. Behavior 3. The explanation addiction. Listen to the self-abandoned man speak. Every decision comes with a dissertation. Every choice requires a committee approval. He explains why he can't make it to drinks, why he chose this restaurant, why he's leaving early, why he exists. He's not communicating. He's auditioning for permission to be himself. The self-sovereign man has discovered weaponized brevity, the power of the period instead of the paragraph. 2 men decline an invitation. The first says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't make it because I have this thing, and then my mom needs help, and I'm just really tired, and money's tight," and the second says, "Can't make it. Maybe next time." Who do you respect more? Who seems more in control of his life? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, wrote, "Be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break." Notice he didn't say, "Be like the rocky headland that explains to each wave why it stands firm." Here's what happens psychologically. When you over-explain, you activate what researchers call justification inflation. The more you explain, the less people believe you. It's like a guilty suspect who can't stop talking. Every word digs the hole deeper. But there's something deeper happening. When you constantly explain yourself, you're really saying, "I don't trust my own judgment enough to let it stand alone. Please validate me. Please tell me I'm making the right choice." The Stoic practice, state your decision. Period. If pressed for explanation, you have one powerful phrase. It's what works best for me. No justification. No seeking approval. Just sovereign choice. A special forces operator once told me, "In combat, the guy who explains his every move is the guy who gets everyone killed." Decision. Action. Forward. Natrati. Ikatantasan. Your choices don't need footnotes. Let them stand like monuments, solid, unexplained, unquestionable. Behavior 4. The comparison plague. The self-abandoned man has a disease. His eyes are always on other men's plates. He scrolls through social media like a masochist seeking fresh wounds. Someone has more money. He feels poor. Someone has more muscle. He feels weak. Someone has more success. He feels like a failure. He doesn't live his life. He audits it against others. The self-sovereign man practices internal scorekeeping, measuring progress against his past self, not against strangers' highlight reels. Picture 2 runners. One constantly looks sideways, speeding up when passed, slowing down when ahead, eventually tripping over his own feet. The other keeps his eyes locked on his lane, running his race, breaking his own records. Who reaches their potential? Seneca wrote something that cuts deep. Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and seeks the old. He understood that comparison is the thief not just of joy, but of progress. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you're broadcasting a devastating message. I have no internal compass. My worth is determined by my ranking against others. I am not the author of my own value. Here's the brutal psychology. Comparison addiction rewires your brain's reward system. Instead of dopamine from personal achievement, you become dependent on relative positioning. You become a slave to a game where the rules constantly change and the scoreboard is always rigged against you. The Stoic antidote is profound. Every night, Marcus Aurelius would write in his journal, not about others, but about his own behavior, his own progress, his own failures and victories. He was competing against one man, yesterday's Marcus. The practice: delete social media for 30 days. Not forever, just long enough to break the neural pathway. In that space, start a simple journal. Today, I was better than yesterday because fill it daily. Watch how your internal scoreboard recalibrates. A billionaire once told me, "The moment I stopped checking Forbes lists was the moment I started building real wealth." Comparison is poverty consciousness dressed in ambition's clothes. Your only competition sleeps in your bed and wakes in your mirror. Behavior 5. The boundary betrayal. This is the most insidious behavior because it happens in silence. The self-abandoned man draws lines in the sand, then watches others cross them while he pretends not to notice. Someone disrespects him, he laughs it off. Someone takes advantage, he makes excuses for them. Someone violates his clearly stated boundary, he moves the line back. He's not being nice. He's committing soul suicide. The self-sovereign man maintains what I call fortress standards. Boundaries that are less like suggestions and more like electric fences. Imagine two castles. One has walls made of paper. Invaders walk through while the king constantly rebuilds, apologizing for the inconvenience. The other has walls of stone. One attempt to breach them, and you understand they're non-negotiable. Which kingdom thrives? Epictetus, who went from slave to philosopher, understood boundaries better than anyone. No one can hurt you without your permission. But here's what most miss. Permission isn't just verbal. It's demonstrated through what you tolerate. Every time you allow someone to cross your boundary without consequence, you're not just losing their respect, you're losing your own. You're telling your subconscious, my standards are theater, my values are suggestions, my worth is negotiable. The psychology is devastating. When you don't enforce boundaries, your brain literally reduces the production of testosterone and increases cortisol. You chemically transform yourself from warrior to victim. But here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you enforce a boundary, especially when it costs you something, your entire neurochemistry shifts. Your body recognizes a self-respecting organism and rewards it with the hormones of dominance and confidence. The Stoic practice is simple but requires courage. The next time someone crosses your boundary, don't explain, don't negotiate, don't get angry. Simply implement what I call consequence deployment. They disrespect you, they lose access to you. They waste your time, they don't get any more of it. They violate your trust, they forfeit the privilege of your confidence. A mentor once told me, the quality of your life is determined by the standards you're willing to enforce when it's uncomfortable. Your boundaries aren't requests, they're requirements. And the person who most needs to understand that is you. The transformation protocol. Here's what the self-abandoned man doesn't understand. Self-respect isn't earned through achievement. It's claimed through decision. The moment you stop saying yes to everything, stop broadcasting every emotion, stop explaining every choice, stop comparing yourself to others, and stop betraying your own boundaries, that moment you transform from prey to predator, from resource to sovereign. From the man things happen to into the man who happens to things. Marcus Aurelius wrote in the loneliest hours of night, what we do now echoes in eternity. Be free, descanso, I do. But eternity starts with how you treat yourself in the next 5 minutes. The self-sovereign man isn't born. He's forged in the furnace of 1,000 small choices, where he chose his own respect over others' approval, his own standards over others' comfort, his own path over others' expectations. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You walk into a room and the energy shifts, not because you demanded attention, but because you no longer need it. You speak and people listen, not because you speak loudly, but because you speak rarely and with intention. People seek your approval, but you're no longer in the business of giving it away. This isn't arrogance, it's architecture. The architecture of a man who has built himself from the inside out. The choice is binary, and it's yours. Continue bleeding respect through these 5 wounds, or cauterize them with the fire of decision. Continue being the self-abandoned man who everyone uses but no one respects, or become the self-sovereign man who needs nothing from anyone because he has everything from himself. The Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Self-respect isn't a luxury for the successful. It's the foundation upon which all success is built. You don't need more money to respect yourself. You don't need more muscle. You don't need more anything. You need to simply stop. Stop giving yourself away, piece by piece, to people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. Your self-respect isn't out there waiting to be earned. It's in here, waiting to be claimed. The question isn't whether you're capable of transformation. You are. The question is whether you're finally tired enough of disrespecting yourself to do something about it. The Stoics would say, you've suffered enough. It's time to sovereign up. Because at the end of your life, you won't regret the people who walked away when you set boundaries. You won't regret the opportunities you lost by saying no. You won't regret the approval you didn't receive by refusing to explain yourself. You'll regret every moment you betrayed yourself for someone who forgot your name. The time for self-abandonment is over. The age of self-sovereignty begins now, not tomorrow, not after one more excuse. Now, because if not now, then you've already chosen never. And that's a behavior that screams louder than all the others combined.